January 10th, 2020. My goodness, we are racing towards Election Day. We are racing towards impeachment trial and racing toward all kinds of changes in the universe as well. So, take it away, Larry. Well, before you start, Larry, I'm going to say, oops, forgot to turn off my volume. Before you start, Larry, I'm going to just remind people we've got the PayPal Nichols Live at AOL.com across the screen. Larry really does need help so he doesn't run out of funds this weekend. It's really important to keep him going because now that we are headed towards impeachment, I'm sure there are things that he can do that he needs to have the strength and the treatments to be able to keep being involved in. NicholsLive.com is the website, and his PayPal NicholsLive at AOL.com. And if you need to contact me for other ways, the description box has my phone number. The website has my phone number. So, all right, Larry, let me get the volume off my phone and my cell phone, and you can take it away.
All right. Well, folks, I don't feel real hunky-dory today, so we may cut today short. But I want to clean up some business. Number one, we got word early this morning that Pelosi tentatively is planning to meet next week and pick what will be their prosecutors in the trial. And then once they do that, they will vote on the floor to send the articles over to the Senate. With Pelosi and what's been done so far, there's no guarantee that they're going to live up to the schedule. But the president's team is having to prepare for whichever way the winds blow. Where this is getting kind of cattywampus again is what Pelosi and Schiff and Nadler et al. Want to do is they're wanting the Senate trial to do all of this investigating. Now, guys, it's not the Senate's job in an impeachment process. It's not the Senate's job to investigate anything. The investigation is supposed to be concluded by the time the Senate gets the articles of impeachment. Now, so all of this that you're hearing from Pelosi, that they want witnesses, they want this, that, and the other. Let's take, for example, John Bolton, right? They want Bolton to testify. Well, what they're leaving out for everybody is that if they wanted Bolton to testify and he has to claim executive privilege, then they should have taken it to the court to see if there were grounds for them to be able to take his testimony and it not violate executive privilege. But they didn't. They didn't send it to court. Now they're expecting the Senate to do it. And folks, that's not what the Senate is supposed to do. Now, President Trump, I believe, if it goes to the Senate and if a trial is the pathway that it goes, if they carry it into a trial. When it comes to John Bolton, even if Bolton is willing to testify, you need to know this. Just because he's willing to testify doesn't mean he's allowed to testify. As the president's national security advisor, he cannot testify about anything that went on when he was in that job as it related to the president. So in theory, yes, they could get him to testify, but even with the president declaring executive privilege, but he could only testify about things that have nothing to do with the president, nothing. So it's not his call. So let's get that out in the open. It's not Bolton's call as to whether or not he will testify. And it's not the Senate's job to take it to court to force him to testify. This is all a part of the evidentiary case that should have been made before the Senate ever even got it. The Senate is a jury. The Senate is to look at all the facts gathered by the House and make a decision. You got it? That's what it's supposed to be. And what Pelosi and them are trying to do is they're trying to elongate the process of this trial. They want to make it longer so that it lasts all the way through, guess what? The election in 2020, or the election in November of this year. It's hard for me to get used to it, but we're into 2020, so it's this year. So do you understand? If they can get it and then it goes to the Senate, and then if they force the Senate to go to the courts to rule whether or not Bolton can testify, that will delay this thing for literally months, which of course puts it still going on during the election. So I just want that cleared up for you so you know exactly what the rules are now. Now there are rules. Now there are things that are constitutionally written. Another thing that's coming, I told y'all yesterday that that general was planning an immediate attack on the embassy in Baghdad. Not only was he planning the attack, he literally was there casing the joint, so to speak, preparing for it. Now, the news is picking up, I think, on some of that, and they're saying that, you know, he was there to blow up the embassy, and I think Pompeo said this morning that it was imminent. But they're not picking up on the other part. They're saying that he also was planning to hit 4 other embassy compounds in Iraq. Well, he was. But he was not going to do it as Iran. He was going to do it not as retaliation for Iran to killing anything. They were doing it to disguise the fact that they were hitting the embassy in Baghdad and make it look like it was the ISIS.
Say again.
To make it look like it was ISIS that was behind it, the one in Baghdad.
Okay.
So once, you have to forgive Rosie. Once again, you got to kind of watch what you hear and know that what you hear is not always going to be true. Now, you've also heard this morning that the plane crashed. Now Iran is saying it didn't shoot down the plane. Well, the reason they're doing that, as I told y'all yesterday, is they don't want to be financially liable to all of the people that died on that crash. They do not have the financial capacity to take a hit like that. And I'm talking about Iran. Iran does not have. They don't want to pay that bill. They don't. So they're going to fight every day tooth and nail to deny that they hit it. And that's why they're slow and probably won't release the black box. Now, I heard a story from 3 or 4 people that on this plane, there are Canadians who were nanotechnology specialists. And also in the story that I heard was that there was some nanotechnology and they put into the fuel tanks and it blew up. That's not true, folks. That is not true. Now, I don't know if there were nanotechnologists from Canada. As a matter of fact, I do know there were some on there, but they were part of the conference. But the plane didn't blow up from nanotechnology. It did not. You'll notice Iran is cleaning up the crash site very, very fast. And that should tell you also the fact that they're getting rid of that crash site before they allow anybody to come in and do a crime scene investigation or a crash site investigation. That should tell you a great deal about what they know happened to that plane. So with that, well, I've still got some breath in me. If you have any questions, get them in. It's Friday. And next week will be a busy week. A lot will be going on. And I intend to make sure that you are apprised and abreast of everything as it's happening, if not before. So with that, Marilyn, has anybody sent questions?
Not yet. I am looking up right now the White House phone number we had discussed the other day, calling the White House. And I'm going to, I can't type that in. It's 202-456-1111. Oh, I can type it with my cell phone. 202-456-1111. And we were going to call President Trump and thank him for his strength, his leadership, his courage, and remind him that you're praying for him, supporting him, and so on. Larry, this is so funny. People are commenting on how good my hair looks. I didn't brush it.
It does look wonderful. You do look wonderful.
That's pretty funny.
So if you got questions, get them in, because I'm going to be here about another 10 minutes and I can't go much longer.
Yeah. I'm typing in that number right now. So that's the White House is 202-456-1111. That's the White House comment line. Now, Larry, I have a question. Are we going to be calling senators next week? I guess it depends on whether those
I don't know if we'll be calling them next week. Next week will determine whether we are going to go into calling.
Okay.
We're not going to call until we get into the trial, if the trial's coming. I'm still working to find out. There's still the plans, as far as I know, that there will be motions in the Senate to just dismiss this thing for a number of reasons, but they're planning to dismiss it. Now, it's up to Mitch McConnell whether he'll do that or not. It should be done, but I'm scared McConnell won't do it. I do not trust McConnell. So, with that, anybody else?
Yes, Mimi's asking about AOC. Does she have Muslim handlers telling her what to do? For example, she heard it was some Turkish men who got her to run and are telling her what to do. Do you know anything about that? Is that possible?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I don't know. The guy that was her handler, if you will, he sure looked, and his name looked Muslim. But I think she got rid of him over some money situation.
Her campaign manager was an Indian.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Yeah. All right. The next question. It seems like the USA and Russia have some of the same enemies. Could we ever become allies against the Middle East?
Yes. Yes. This is one of the things early on that President Trump realized and tried to initiate, if you'll recall. In one of his speeches or in one of his press conferences, he did make the statement, why have we got to be in a situation where he cannot talk to Russia? There are occasions when we need to talk to them. Now, we're not going to be with them on everything, but there are going to be situations where we do have things in common that we can work together. And I think President Trump is trying to do that when it's called for.
I mean, just even the example, Larry, you're saying that there was a time when you worked with Schumer.
That's right.
You were both on the same side of an issue and worked together. I mean, bedfellows change from time to time.
Now, the problem Trump has today, trying to work with Russia or Putin, is the stage that's been set by the Democrats, so that if he were to work with Putin on anything, then they will call him a traitor. That's just proof he's been a front man for Putin all along. So I doubt we're going to see any cooperation between Putin and Trump. Not now, not after all of this Russian conspiracy stuff.
Boy, we've got a bunch of questions coming in now. Sorry, you guys, don't go so fast. Can the Senate shut the trial down if it's only based on hearsay? That's what the motion to dismiss is, right?
Well, they're drafting the motion to dismiss, summary dismissal, just throw it out, not even handle it. But it's based off several things. Number one, the shoddy procedures that were done to build the case, number one. Number two, the obstruction of Congress. Well, the obstruction of Congress can't be because they have the opportunity to go to court and force these people to testify through the courts, and they didn't. So Trump cannot be charged with obstruction of Congress since the House didn't take their refusing to honor subpoenas to the court to force them. So there's a lot of reasons why, and they're just going to pick one or two, or maybe a bunch of them. But the whole point is the plan at this point, which is, by the way, not what the president wants. He wants to have the trial so he can get his name back. But I'm assuring everybody he'll never get his name back. It will not come back. It's done.
He's impeached, and that's that. Okay. Thomas Daniels says, Value Jet. This crash has echoes of Value Jet. I want to see the passenger manifest. I want to see if there were any Ukrainian Democrat donors or so-called business on that plane. This person did ask us yesterday, and we didn't have time.
Yeah. Let me say this. At this point, with what we do know, it looks like the aircraft flew through the airspace it was in, and it either did not have its beacon on, showing that it was a civilian aircraft, or it wasn't working, or it wasn't on, the pilot didn't turn it on, or there was a mistake on the ground radar and didn't pick it up. But I don't believe at this point, and this is just my opinion, I don't believe at this point there was something nefarious like that. Could have been, but I just don't believe it based off what I know that actually happened.
Okay, big question, and this is one I had earlier. Huber, finding that there isn't any big deal to be done about Uranium One or Clinton Foundation. What in the world? I mean, I guess I'm not surprised because he was a Democrat, but he was supposed to be all right.
No, this one we knew was coming. We knew it was coming. He's deep state 100%, and it's been that way. That just because he did what he did does not mean Barr is not pursuing it. Barr does not investigate, prosecute, call a grand jury. He doesn't do any of that based solely on Inspector General's reports. He does his own. So don't worry about that so much. We suspected, or I don't know if it's public yet, but we've known it was coming.
Yes, it's public today. Okay. Is the U.S. being blamed for the crash?
No, not yet. But give the Democrats time. I'm sure at some point the Democrats will turn it around and blame it on Trump.
Somebody, I think, has already heard that happening. Somebody was asking about guns and Virginia. Frankly, I think it's something Frank, somebody Frank. We have already discussed that many, many days. We discussed it yesterday a lot, so please go back and listen to yesterday's program. Mike Ortega wants to have a discussion about the guerrilla warfare we taught the A team in 2016.
Yes. Michael will be using that technology again with the Senate having to do with the trial. We will be doing things, folks, all of us. We will be active in what you would consider or call a guerrilla warfare tactic of moving behind the scenes to make things happen. And you all will be a part of it. But I would rather not go into it now, simply because I don't want to give anybody in advance time or any advance warning as to what we'll be doing. What else?
Well, Diane's wondering about, she said she doesn't trust Barr, and why isn't Barr doing something? You've talked
Once
about.
again, I'm going to say, Diane, everybody, Barr is doing a lot. Just because you don't hear about it, just because you don't know about it, does not mean he's not working. He is following the letter of the law. He is not doing what Holder and the Democrats have done, which is just publicizing and using the law as a weapon. He's not. There will be justice coming from Barr. There will be. What else?
Yeah, Gloria suggests that Barr can't say anything right now because there are still ongoing investigations into the Clinton Foundation and Hillary when she was Secretary of State.
That's exactly true. He cannot. Not by law, he's not supposed to. You see, the reason he doesn't, folks, is if he comes out and talks about he's investigating this person or that person, and if he makes it public, then to 50 to 80% of the nation, just because he's investigating that person, they're guilty. Or he wouldn't be investigating them, they're guilty. So the point is to investigate, not make it public. And if a person is innocent, then you know what? They can go on with their lives without it being ruined, just from the charge. That's what the Democrats do, you see. They just charge people with stuff. And they know when they get it charged against people, when they can get people charged with stuff, then half the country at least, they're guilty already, and they never get their name back. What else?
Frankly, my dear is asking about Project Guardian that Barr did and Project Relentless Pursuit.
I don't know that much about them. I just really don't know enough to give an educated opinion. But I will tell you this, Barr is in a different position than he's ever been in his life before. This will define his entire future, his name. And as I was once told, he can't not prosecute this time. He'll be doing what he's supposed to do. And if you don't believe he can change, then you have to say, then I couldn't change. And I hope I've proven that not to be true. What else?
Will is talking about, he's in Canada. He says Trudeau and the CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, are trying to blame Trump. If you ever wanted to see a communist news service, CBC is right up there with CNN.
Yes. Yes. Most people don't realize that Canada is already a socialist country. It is. They may not proclaim it, but they are. What else?
Another question about the SES, the Senior Executive Service. How do we get rid of them?
I don't know. I do not know. That I can say.
Yeah. I don't see any other questions right now.
Well, let me do this if I can. I'm really weak and I just can't go on, Marilyn. So if you would take the reins for me, please.
Yep.
Folks, I will be here Monday and try to be in better shape. By the week's end, I'm pretty whipped most of the time. So have a good weekend, guys, and help if you can. You know that, Mary Ellen, I'm going to go on. Okay?
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Larry.
you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Appreciate all of you being here. And yeah, as you can see, I'm covered with paint here, so I'm in the middle of a job. So I'm going to get back to work. And if anybody can do anything to help Larry get his treatment over the weekend, he spends an awful lot of time trying to rest on the weekend. But I'll tell you, if there's a lot happening in DC, there have been weekends where, you know, before Christmas, before he got so sick when he had to miss a day or two of his treatment, that just, he's still trying to recover from that setback. Not as far as we know, Beth, but Larry doesn't really know about that. He really does need to be sure that the money has come in to keep him going. So any help you can get would be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. C. Jacobs, I'll get to that in a minute. You know, before Christmas, he was working sometimes 20 hours a day. He would start at 6 in the morning, and there were days where he was on the phone till 4 a.m. And, you know, it kind of did him in when you think about how ill he has been. And he's fighting so hard to stop the nonsense that is going on in DC. And he's just one man pushing and pushing and pushing. And we really do need to do whatever we can to help. Now, we can't do the forced multiplication that we've done, you know, where you call multiple times. This is not the time to do that. But if you can make calls, call our president and make sure he knows that he has our support. Call Mitch McConnell and say that we are expecting dismissal because of the nonsense. You know, Larry has done a good job of pointing out what's going on. Frankly, my dear, again, with the Virginia gun thing, he has said, don't go to Richmond carrying weapons. I heard something last night, Headlines with a Voice, was saying that the guy who's in charge of security around the Capitol there is FBI avid anti-Trumper. So, you know, it could be very, very dangerous. So be very careful, be very alert. How to call the president. I typed that in earlier. Let me type it in again. It's 202-456-1111. 202-456-1111. And Jacobs, AMS. When did we begin selling away the United States? As soon as Bill Clinton got into the White House. He had already, it was illegal from Nixon's time on, if not before, it was illegal to do any dealings with China. And rice is grown in Arkansas. And when Bill Clinton was governor, they even had an office in China, despite what the law said. So, yeah, Clinton's been involved in dealings in that respect for a very long time, and he did an awful lot to help sell our country out, gave them our tech, you know, all kinds of weapons, technology, and so on. It's really bad what's gone on. Anyhow, I'm going to just say goodbye and thank you for anything and everything you have done for Larry. If anybody can make a big sacrifice to keep him going, that would be incredibly appreciated. But you know, $1 lets him know that you're still there. Um, you know, several $1,000s to keep him going next week is definitely what is needed. And you were asking about the colors. I mean, my whole shirt is covered with paint. I don't. Who needs a rag? I just wipe the messes. So yes, I'm sorry. I am in the middle of a job, and I just couldn't go up and change everything for a few minutes. So, yes, if you're carrying firearms to Richmond, Virginia, I know you are probably thinking about your own personal security. But if you're caught with a weapon, oh boy, you will be in trouble, and they will be very quick to arrest any of the pro-gun people, pro-Second Amendment people, because they already voted today that you can't carry a weapon into the government offices. So, yeah, so thanks, folks. I'm headed back to painting this room. It'll still be the same color, so you probably won't see a difference, but at least it'll be freshened up. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot for being here. We'll talk on Monday. If any emergency comes up, we'll throw a show in at the last minute tomorrow, but or Saturday or Sunday. But otherwise, we'll expect to see you on Monday. God bless you. Have a blessed weekend. Bye.